Hey everybody, and welcome back to some more Flotsam. We're back once again in the town of Rubbishburg. Our drifters working away, gathering yet more wood, yet more plastic. I think we might even have somebody on fishing as well, potentially. Although maybe not actually, maybe we're just gathering wood right now and maybe the odd bit of plastic. But we of course are also working on generating water as well and a little bit of firewood to facilitate that water. And right now we seem to be doing okay. The amount of water that we have in our reserves is slowly but surely going up. At the end of the last episode, we were kind of drifting dangerously close to not having any water whatsoever. Right now, I think we are slowly but surely generating some extra water there, which is good. However, we are slowly but surely dipping in our food reserves. And so even if we don't have one down right now, it's probably going to be for the best for us to actually go ahead and put down a fishing marker over here. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw one down right about there. We might have had one in the past that has just kind of like expired. We caught all the fish that was available, but for the time being, I think we've actually pretty well exhausted this area of the map. We've been to both of the available islands. We've gathered quite a lot of the available resources. There are still quite a lot of resources left, especially a lot of fish. There's quite a few of these kind of fish clusters around the map that we could definitely do with potentially harvesting before we move on. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the way that this game works is we progress on to the right. We constantly move to the right on this map here, and there is a final endpoint to the game. There is a point where we can no longer go any further to the right, and I think at that point, the game just ends. At least right now. The game is still in early access. Things are still being developed, and so I don't know if it's strictly necessary for us to get all of the resources, or at least a good chunk of the resources, before we move on, right? Because right now, while there are quite a lot of resources here, and whilst gathering those resources is going to make it a lot easier for us to expand in the future, if we move on to, say, the next area, we can more quickly get more research points and then funnel those research points into making the lives of our drifters easier than they are right now. For example, the big thing that I still would like to get as our first piece of research is the solar still, which can slowly generate a small amount of fresh water. And so, even though we do have quite a lot of available resources here, I think it might be in our best interest to just kind of ship on over to the next area here. Sure, let's do it. Just because this area has fresh water, as well as the oil that I assume we're going to need to move on to the next islands, and then it also has an abandoned town, which of course is going to provide us with that much needed research. And so here we are, once again, Rubbishburg has moved. It's as strong and stable as ever. I'm going to go ahead and hit pause real quick here because I would like to get my markers down before everything goes wrong. And so I think to start with, I will put down some food markers, simply due to the fact that we are very low on food right now. And presumably, as soon as we go and raid this water tower here, we're going to get a nice supply of fresh water. So I'll put down 2 fishing markers, one here and then one wherever the next closest fishing area is. Unfortunately, I don't think any of the other fishing areas are too close. I guess I'll just put it down kind of over on this area, I think. Like that. Perfect. Okay, so I also, of course, would love to send somebody out to explore this water tower. I think that's definitely going to be the first place we should go. It's got 20 water on there. Fantastic. Not too sure if we're going to get any research points from that, but even if we don't, the water is definitely going to be worth the trip. And so one mistake that I did make in the last episode is one, not realizing that we had a drifter duties tab, which has all of these intricate and, specific priorities that we can set for each of our drifters, but also people in the comment section pointed out that I renamed this guy from whatever he was named before into Alan, and then I renamed Alan into Gregory. And so currently Alan is not with us. We've got Sammy Flot, we've got Nick, we've got Gregory, we've got Scallop, and we've got Gope. And so real quick, Sammy Flot, you are the new Alan. I'm not going to rename Scallop because Scallop is just a perfect name, and this guy down here in the bottom left, he looks like a scallop to me, so he is going to be a Scallop. And then finally here we have Gope, who we are going to go ahead and rename to Chip. Boom. All right, so we got all of our drifters out now. We can go ahead and prioritize if we want to. Right now, I still don't necessarily think that we need to worry too much about prioritizing certain people to do certain things. There's no kind of skill tree in the game. There's no progression path for each individual drifter. And so I really don't think it matters who's doing what, so long as somebody is doing something all of the time. And right now, I think we do have enough people to where somebody can be running the distillery here, someone can be running the woodworking shed, and, you know, we can still have people going out doing fishing and gathering the water foes. So that is all good. The water has been gathered. I'm going to assume that we didn't get any research points from that. We didn't. And so real quick, let's go and check out this abandoned shack. We are going to have to check out the factory at some point because we need that oil to progress on to the next area. But for the time being, I really want to see if we can't get these research points unlocked. And there definitely is the argument to be made that we should probably do one of the earlier pieces of research first. The scrapsmith is one that catches my eye because it allows us to make both screws and pipes, but I have no idea what we can use screws and pipes for. Right now, there doesn't seem to be anything that we can make out of it. Presumably, as soon as we build it, we get more things that we can then build. And so maybe it's worth doing this, but right now we have 18 research points. And so real quick, let's unlock the solar still. And you know what? At the same time, we can also unlock the scrapsmith as well. Nice. So let's go into the build menu here and let's see about throwing down our very first scrapsmith as soon as we get a little bit more in the way of dry wood, which we are completely out of, as well as 15 more pieces of scrap. Really? Do we not have any scrap just yet? Is scrap, hold on, let me pause real quick here. Is scrap something that we can get from the ocean here? I know we have like little pockets of wood, we got little pockets of plastic. I'm wondering if this new area has any little pockets of scrap potentially. Like, is this scrap? I don't think it is. I'm fairly certain that this is just wet wood. Okay, so maybe we have to go and check out an abandoned town to get ourselves our first bits of scrap. Like, potentially this area over here that we're checking out might have some scrap in it. It didn't. It did have food, though, which is very good for us right now. We're very light on food, despite the fact that we have 2 fishing boats out at the moment. This is done. Good stuff. And I guess real quick, we might as well go and check out the factory ruins. It's not that far away, and so we might as well go and give that a quick peek to see if we can get that oil going here. And then from there, this is where we actually have our first choice as to where we want to go next. And looking forward a little bit as well, we have extra choices as to where we want to go. There's like longer paths that require a bit of oil, but go further on the map. There's shorter paths, which take you to new areas, but don't require any oil. And so I'm interested. There's also what looks to be like a cluster of buildings in this area here. So does require more oil, but could potentially have a high return on investment. Here we have animals, and then here we have villages. This one just says abandoned town, fresh water, villages, abandoned town, fresh water. Okay, so any of the water towers are going to have fresh water. That's good to know. Villages could be useful. We can turn those into drifters for us. Although I have no idea what we can do with animals, if anything. Maybe just turn them into food, which wouldn't be terrible. We do need food, but also at the same time, wouldn't be, I guess, particularly useful. I do think that we probably want to work on trying to keep the size of our colony relatively small, just because, of course, the more people we have, the more food we need, the more water we need, and right now we just don't have that many people available to do all of that kind of stuff. So to make the solar still, we need 6 plastic and we need 18 dry wood. So right now, I was going to say I'm fairly certain that this is working on making the dry wood. However, our dry wood is currently being used. Oh, of course, it's being used in the production of the firewood here. So real quick, I'm going to turn off and cancel the next bit of firewood, because I would like to actually start banking up our dry wood so we can make a solar still and hopefully start to produce a little bit of water passively. I'm not quite sure how much water it's going to produce or if it's going to be anywhere near enough to sustain our colony, but nevertheless, we will give it a go and see how things go. So right now, I think we do have space to actually get another boat out. Yeah, we've got 2 fishing boats, so let's go and let's get, I think, wood is probably a good idea here. We've got a fair bit of plastic. We're pretty low on both of them, to be honest. But if we put down a little fishing boat there and we have someone head over to grab that, and then we also actually this time around have some resources within swimming distance, and so we can go ahead and send some of our drifters out to go and grab that 69 plastic available right there, which is also going to be very nice indeed. We've now got the 6 dry wood required, and so just as soon, oh, we need 18 dry wood. Oh my goodness, it's 6 plastic and then 18 dry wood. Okay, so we need quite a bit of our wood to be dried before we can once again move on. But we have managed to salvage the oil, which is good. I'm very happy about that. And once again, we're in that kind of same dilemma here where I don't know really the ideal amount of time for us to stick around in this area. What else do we have here? I also do wonder how useful the house is. My initial thought is that the only way it could be useful is if it is quicker than a bed. So if somebody sleeps in a house, they sleep for less time and thus are more productive for the rest of the day. I don't necessarily know if that's how that works. Maybe. I do think food, though, should maybe be the next thing that we look towards making. Specifically, this grilled fish here seems like it would be very useful for us. Being able to turn our regular fish into more than 0.5 food per fish, I think is going to be huge for us, especially considering right now our food situation is a little dire, to say the least. I might go ahead and allocate somebody to make the drying rack a higher priority. Now, I think that would probably fall under cooking duties, I assume. So you know what, Gregory? You are our cook. You're going to do cooking a little bit more than everything else. We do need somebody on the water gathering and desalination. And so, Nick, you are our water gathering guy. We also probably do need somebody to go out and do landmark salvaging. So, Alan, boom, you're the landmark salvager. Whenever we schedule a landmark to be salvaged, Alan is the one to do the job. And then what else do we have here? We do have fishing duties. I guess we'll make Scallop. You know, it's in the name. We'll make him the lead fisher. And then from there, I think we'll just leave Chip as kind of a general purpose guy. Not really doing too much of like one thing, just free to do whatever we need him to do in the moment. Everyone is alive, which is good. People have got varying amounts of hunger filled up. Although it does look like people are eating when they get low enough to require food, so that's good. And we do have a little warning above our storage here. We're getting very close to being completely full on storage, which is not ideal. Did I just delete an item? I think I might have done. I right-clicked on one of these items here. I don't know if that deleted it or just somebody took it out at the same time that I right-clicked. Either way, we do now have what it takes to make our very first solar still. And so, boom, that thing is significantly bigger than I thought it was going to be, but it kind of makes sense given that it required so much wood. And I think once we have this built, I might once again move on to the next location. We could really do with looking out for some more food in those new areas, and we could definitely also do with trying to get more research unlocked so we can make better food, right? Now, right now we do only have one fishing area selected, so I will put down another fishing marker. I think I can have 2 fishing markers down, right? I can. Actually, we've got no fishing markers. Okay, let me throw down 2 fishing markers here. The fishing markers are definitely something that we do have to keep an eye on to make sure that they are available for when we need the fish. I think they disappear, of course, when we fully, utilize and take away all of the fish in a given area. But nevertheless, how are we doing back over here? We have our solar still, which is turning the seawater slowly but surely into fresh water. Now, there's no stats here. There's no numbers, so I have no idea how good this is. I can see it doing its job. I don't know how many bottles of water or how many, units of water we're going to get. It looks like our units of water are going up fairly quickly. I was contemplating disabling the distiller, but I think given that we've disabled the firewood, the distiller should go offline in just a second here, and hopefully the solar still can kind of sustain the colony on water on its own. Maybe? Only time will tell, I guess. But I think we are pretty close here, especially given our dwindling food supplies, to deciding on a new area. And I think, given that it's possible that the Seagull's Nest here could provide us with a little bit of extra food, I think I will head on over to that area. I'm going to give them a little bit of time here. Not too much time, but a little bit of time to grab a couple more fish so that hopefully we don't just completely die of starvation when we move to this new area. But then as soon as they've done this last kind of like cycle of fishing, I think we will move on and try and get some new research and try and unlock that that fish kebab. That's kind of my next goal right here. So as soon as this boat gets back, I think we're good to go. And I think the food looks maybe a little bit more dangerous than it currently is. Like, it is very low, but at the same time, I think everybody, let me check though real quick, is okay on food. That's not really true. Gregory is very hungry right now, and he's heading over to grab some food, and we only have 0.5 left. Apparently, that was enough. He is now full on food, so everything seems okay there. I'm not too sure if they eat the raw fish. I don't think they do. And we do have quite a bit of raw fish in storage here. We're just waiting to get it on the drying rack, and so it might not be a terrible idea actually to throw down another drying rack real quick just so we can get even more fish drying at once. But I think it is time once again to set sail on the open seas over to the Seagull's Nest. All right, here we go. So we have got a Seagull Nest, which has EvenSteven on it, who we can go and rescue. We have got, presumably not food, by the way. We also have the Seaweed-covered rocks, which are going to give us 25 raw seaweed. There's a bunch of nature we could take away with us over the green rocks. Could be slippery, watch your step. And then finally, we have the Viaduct, which has 32 scrap metal. That sounds like my kind of place. So let's go ahead and salvage that real quick. Let's also, of course, go ahead and throw down a couple of fishing points. We'll put down one right about here. We'll put down another one as close as we can. So I think right about here will do just fine. And I think for now, other than that, we will of course go ahead and set this to fish for the time being, because we still don't have the research points required for that fish kebab. And then I think we'll also probably go ahead, and I don't think we actually need a boat out right now. We've got a lot of both wood and plastic. And so you know what? For the time being, I'm going to leave that as it is. We've got 2 people on fishing. We've got 1 person on exploration. We've got 1 person cooking that fish, and then maybe 1 person working on wood as well, you know, maybe working on the drying racks. Let's take a look at this viaduct though, because this looks particularly interesting. And as soon as we get this scrap here, which we're already bringing back, we should be able to get our scrapsmith up and running. We only need 16. It looks like he only bought 4 back there, which is not a ton. But then again, he is legitimately like breaking cars apart and then loading the parts from those cars onto the ship here. So I guess that's somewhat fair. Here we go. So once he brings that back, we should have 20 scrap metal, at which point this scrapsmith is ready to go. And I'm very much so interested to see whether or not this new scrapsmith is going to unlock new recipes for us, new things that we could potentially build. Real quick though, before we do that, let's throw down a new platform. Now, ooh, you can't go on like too harsh of an angle. So I think for now I'll do this, and we'll kind of make like a bit of a square here, and we'll throw down a brand new scrapsmith right about there. All right, we'll see if we can get something from that, because getting screws and nails is fine, but if we can't use those screws and nails for anything, then they're somewhat useless. Unfortunately, it does look like we're not going to get any research points here. It's possible that we could maybe get some research points from EvenSteven, but I don't think that's the case. I assume he's just going to sit maybe on our base somewhere and potentially eat some of our food every now and again, which is not ideal. Either way, though, we are now done with the viaduct, and so I will go and rescue EvenSteven as the next mission here. And hopefully any second now, we're going to see our scrapsmith underway. They're throwing the resources into it, and there are quite a few resources required. It looks like the solar still is doing a perfectly fine job in producing more than enough fresh water to keep everybody happy, so that's good. It looks like really the only problem that we're having right now is with fish, and that is because right now, have they managed to fish all of the fish? Surely not. They fished quite a lot of the fish, honestly. They're down to 5 there, and then this one is up at 25 still. It does say 0 out of 1. I don't know if that's allocating, like, who's in there. Like, I know nobody's in there right now. That might be one of the reasons. It might not be a terrible idea to bump up the fishing 1 step further, maybe. Like, bump that up to the highest priority. Oh, EvenSteven, he can fish. You know what, EvenSteven, your job of fishing is a super high priority. So is he going to actually go and bring fish back? I think he might do. We got 16 fish. I'm going to keep an eye on this guy real quick. Can I, like, camera follow EvenSteven? I can. Let's keep an eye on this guy. So he's going to head over to the fish. We've got 15 fish right now. And then presumably he's just going to bring 1 back? Oh my goodness, he brought, like, 4 back? Huh. That is fantastic. Okay, so it was definitely worth rescuing EvenSteven. I thought at first he might be a burden on our setup here, but it turns out quite the opposite. He is here to provide us with a nice source of food. And so now we do now have the workshop available to us, so we can smith our metal into more useful materials like screws and pipes. However, I still don't see a reason to make screws or pipes. Presumably, if it doesn't unlock anything on its own, then potentially something that we unlock later on down the line might require screws and pipes. Yes, over here. So if we want to make a desalinator to remove salt from seawater to generate fresh water in large amounts, if we want to get that going, we need both screws and pipes. Okay, I understand. We also need it for the water containers, which makes sense. We need it for a plastic recycler, a workshop where drifters can recycle plastic into more useful resources like plastic nets and bottle bricks. I'm interested to see what the plastic net is used for. I wonder if we can kind of automate the catching of our resources, maybe? But either way, if we're going to get any of those, we do have to, of course, go and get more research points, which really we don't have the option to do here. And so, real quick, let's go and salvage the seaweed. Still not quite sure what we're going to use that for. They might eat it, potentially, but I guess no matter what, it's going to be nice to have. Speaking of storage, we probably do want to look at potentially getting the storage yard upgrade, because right now we do seem to be kind of teetering on the edge of always having a full storage capacity, which is not ideal. And I guess we should also start thinking about where we're going to go next, because we have two options here. One, and they both require the same amount of fuel. Actually, we have three options. I lied. We've got this option here, which is a shack town. There appears to be a small abandoned town on this island. We might find some supplies there. Pretty sure no one will miss them. So I think this area could possibly give us the highest number of research points, because I think it's going to have more buildings than we've seen so far in any of our previous areas. And then we also have the water tower, which I don't think is necessary. I do find it interesting that the wind can take us to the water tower, but if we go to the town, the wind can't then take us to the water tower. But we can also go straight up to the factory ruins over here and get some more oil and another abandoned town. I guess it's at this point that we should think ahead a little bit, because if we use oil going here, we then only have one tank of oil left, so we can only go one extra trip with oil. Although we could just go straight forward to potentially this lonely island and pick up some more people. Again, I'm still quite cautious on picking up more drifters, but I do think that we should definitely go to the shack town next. I think getting more research points is definitely our highest priority right now. Not going to bother with the scrapsmith just yet for what I think are obvious reasons. You know, there's no need for it right now. We don't need any screws or any pipes at this moment in time. And as per usual, as soon as we get whatever's on this island, as soon as we get the seaweed taken care of, I think we'll move on out. I think we'll head on over to that new town and see if we can't really ramp up our research here into, I don't know, honestly, maybe the plastic recycler. It does require 15 research points, so 12 more than what we have right now. So it would definitely require a large number of buildings to give us research points. Although I guess definitely we're going to go with food first and then potentially with the plastic recycler. Sure. Okay, that's fine. So how is this guy doing? It's got 5 seaweed left. All right. Who is on the boat here? Who's in charge of seaweed? Who did we determine should be the collector of resources? It is Alan, of course, who is not on the boat. Oh no, it's not. Who's doing Alan's job here? It is Chip, of course, because Chip doesn't have any one specific thing that he should be doing. So I'm assuming what happened there is Alan came back, Alan was putting things into storage, and so Chip hopped on the boat and decided to head on back to grab the remainder of that seaweed there. And with that taken care of, I think it's probably about time that we ship on up and ship on out of here. So I'm going to wait until that boat is docked and everything is stored away. And then let's go. Let's move on over to this new town. Okay, so what do we have here? We have got a shack town, which is going to give us research points and something. We have got an abandoned shack, which is again going to give us research points and something. And then finally, we have another viaduct, which is going to give us yet more scrap metal. Okay, let's start with the shack town, I guess. And as per usual, or as is becoming standard at this point, we will pause real quick here and we'll get some fish markers down. I think I'll throw one down and another one here. Beautiful. And I think I will also this time throw another marker down for maybe some plastic. We are running a little light on plastic right now. I do wonder if you can put down a I want to try real quick actually. I was gonna say, I wonder if I remove this marker, can I put a swim marker down over this? I can, but it only gets plastic, not the fish. Okay, I was really hoping that we would see our drifters like trying to manually fish, like just grabbing them out of the water. That could have been fun to watch. But nevertheless, let's go and grab, I guess, some of this plastic up here. Boom. And let's hit play. Let's get that work going there. EvenSteven has joined Rubbishburg. Your food reserves are running low. Look out for food. And there are not enough houses to accommodate all the drifters. Excuse me? We have got 5 houses and 5 drifters. There's no way that the bird counts as a drifter, right? Like, surely EvenSteven does not require a bed, right? Although his rest is slowly declining. Do we actually have to build a bed for EvenSteven? Hold on, like if I click on any of these beds, they are assigned to individual people. I'm going to test it. I'm going to put down another bed real quick and see if it auto-assigns to EvenSteven. If it does, that is bizarre, the fact that we're going to have, and I want to see the bird lying down on the bed with the alarm clock next to it. That makes no sense whatsoever. But if that's the way it works, that's the way it works, I guess. We do now have 6 research points, which is also good. Let's unlock the fish kebab here. Presumably made in... I actually don't know where this is made in. Is it made in the woodworking shed? It's not. Oh, it's a new area, an actual fish kebab. Grilled fish, simple but tasty. Requires plastic, dried wood, and scraps. So let's put that down, I guess, over here. I do wonder if we should maybe move our storage containers so that people can get to, certain areas quicker, to do certain tasks faster. I will also go ahead and unselect the dried fish on the drying racks. We'll stop making dried fish now, and we'll go on and move over to a 100% fish kebab diet. All right, how is this assigned? It is! They've assigned it to the freaking bird. Oh my goodness. There you go, EvenSteven. He counts, he's one of us, and he has his own bed to prove it. My goodness. All right. Flippin' heck. We're actually almost at the point where we could get another piece of research going as well. I've yet to see a need for greater water storage. We can store up to 60 units of water, and right now we've yet to hit it. We are down at 13 units of water here, and so it's quite possible that the solar still is not quite producing enough water for us. Maybe? I guess we could just go ahead and throw another one down. It's not particularly efficient, and we do have a limit on how far out we can build our island, so we should probably look to extending out in these kind of other directions here. But we could put another one of these down and just start producing, get more water that way. And I think that's probably a good idea, at least until we get to the point that we can make the actual desalinator to produce a large amount of clean water. Oh my goodness, what are those sounds? I have no idea what that is, but geez. Let's go ahead and make some fish kebabs, I guess, actually. So fish kebabs I would like to be made on loop. And real quick, I think at this point in time, I will go ahead and bump Gregory up to like a top priority cooking. I want him always making fish kebabs all the time. It does require firewood, actually, and so we are going to have to once again get our firewood queue going. And this is, I guess, where we probably want more people, because now we need somebody to collect firewood, we need someone to collect fish, we need someone to explore, we need someone to cook the fish, we need someone to catch even more fish, we need someone to run the woodworking shed, maybe the desalinator. All kinds of stuff needs to be taken care of here, and 5 people and a bird might not be enough to make that happen. The good news is, though, that having the fish kebab here does effectively double the amount of food that we're getting. So instead of getting 0.5 units of food per 1 fish, we now get 1 unit of food per 1 fish. So that is real nice indeed. It's always nice to double our resources like that. I will go ahead and disable the salinator. We don't want the firewood being used for that. We want the firewood being used for the fish only, especially now that we have 2 of these solar stills. And that is our shack town taken care of. Hopefully he's just brought back the food. I'm really hoping this goes up to 14, because we are a little light on food. Although, maybe not. Maybe we've already got the food, and maybe we're just waiting on fish right now. Do we still have our fish markers out? We do indeed. Let's put another fish marker down. We'll put it down right about here. And then let's go and explore the new area here, the abandoned shack. Another lonely soul tried making a home with driftwood. Maybe they've left some supplies inside. Boom. I would love to get some more research going here. We've really managed to push forward with the research in this area. I'm really happy about that. We could potentially look at getting a food truck. The best food at your favorite truck stop serves cooked fish, mussels, and sushi. Oh, I see. So we can use like seaweed and fish to make sushi and to make cooked fish here. Presumably, like, maybe you get more than 1 bit of sushi. I don't know. I'm wondering how it could be useful, because it's still only worth 1 food unit. But I guess it does give us a way to use the seaweed here. We do now have 16 research points, though, and so we could even go as far as to get a fishing hut. Uses a net and bait to catch fish deep below the town. Oh, 100% we will unlock this. Not having to put down multiple fishing boats all over the place to gather fish is going to be huge. Being able to use those fishing boats to go and gather wood and plastic and things like that to keep our, cooking of fish stable is definitely going to be a good thing. Under construction, what do we need for this new fishing hut? We need scrap metal, we need rope, and we need net. Ah, that's what the plastic net is for. I see. So we do need the plastic recycler first before we can actually make use of our net here. That kind of sucks because we don't have the points required for the net, but that's fine. I'm assuming that we can probably get those fairly soon here. We will, of course, go and grab the scrap metal And then once we've grabbed that, we will once again set sail out to our next area, which I think is almost certainly going to be this area. It does have an abandoned town, which of course means yet more research points. We could potentially look into getting some more drifters, although I'm fairly happy with the system that we have right now. We've got a good amount of food. We've got a good amount of water coming in thanks to our 2 solar stills. Even though we're down at 2 right now, I do think that these 2 solar stills should be able to keep us going, hopefully. And it definitely seems right now like no matter how we spin this, we seem to be doing okay on food, but then terrible on water. And then the next minute we're doing fine on water, but terrible on food. I did see him just grab a bunch of water there. Presumably, I'm not too sure how that works. Like, they took a big old barrel of water out of the solar still, and then it looked like they were putting it in there, but we're still at 0 water. Maybe they're just drinking it. Potentially, that could also be what's going on there. Let's quickly check our drifter's health. For the most part, everyone seems okay. Scallop's a little light on food, as is Gregory here, but food is not a problem. That's something we've got in abundance. Really, the only low thing down here is rest, but EvenSteven does now have his own bed, and so if needs be, he can go and sleep on that and catch up on his rest and be all good to go for the morning. And so, once again, we're in the situation now where as soon as we get the viaduct done here, we're going to move over to our new area, and I would really like to find out if there's anything we can do with this whale. I assume not. I assume there's nothing that the whale does in the current version of the game. But it'd be interesting to see if this did something in the future. Maybe you have to put up defenses against it. Maybe you can hunt it potentially if you have enough drifters in the future. That could be quite interesting. Might not be a bad idea to turn the distiller back on, or maybe at least schedule a little bit of water. And we really need more wood is the big thing here. We are only using 2 of our 3 boats. So I will put down... I'm going to hold off because I think we're going to wait. We're almost done with the viaduct. And as soon as we get to the new area, then we'll put down a new wood boat. We'll start trying to grab some more wood, some more plastic, and using that to make more dry wood, of course, and using that dry wood to hopefully get us some more water. Because as much as I was hoping they would take care of the job, it looks like the solar stills have kind of let us down here a little bit. They were doing so well earlier on. The fish kebab doesn't require water, does it? It doesn't. I think this time we almost certainly have to go here. We don't have to. We could go over here. And actually, you know what? We are light on water, and I don't really think we need more villagers. And so although there's not as many research points here, and I would love research points. Oh, no, this is... Yeah, no, this is fine. I was going to say it's awkward because we can't go this way, but we can go straight forward. It looks like every option does have a wind option if you are out of oil. At least for now it does. And so you know what? We'll head on over to the leaking water tower just because we need that water. We're kind of desperately in need of water at this point in time. And so we'll grab that. There is no oil path after here, which is interesting. I wonder if the oil path is going to pick up again. I don't know how long this path goes. I don't know how many stops there are on the pathway to the end of the game. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode of Flotsam there. As always, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more of the great town of Rubbishburg in the future, be sure to go ahead and hit that like button. It will just help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new here to get notified as soon as new videos come out. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.